The Simpsons movie review. So this is a review of the Simpsons movie that came out in 2007, the one that got a theatrical release. I'm going to try not to talk about the Simpsons TV show too much. Actually, I'm going to talk about it a little bit, just to say that this TV show had a huge impact on me when I was young, and I think most people of my generation. I was maybe about the perfect age for The Simpsons, me and my fellow classmates. We were in 6th grade when it came out. So, I remember the controversy when it came out. It seems so tame by today's standards, but it was controversial when it came out, and George Bush said that he didn't like Bart Simpson's underachievement or something like that. It was considered like a bad influence on the kids when it came out. So I remember all that controversy. And I was also just about the perfect age to enjoy it when it hit its golden age. So I think it came out when I was in 6th grade, but it didn't start to hit its golden age until maybe I was about in 9th grade or 10th grade or 11th grade. But then, the show was just pure gold, and I was the perfect age to enjoy it. Me and kind of everyone else of my generation. I mention that because, the show's been on the air for so long that there are a lot of people now who are even approaching middle age who maybe don't remember a time before The Simpsons was ever on the air. How long has this show been on the air now? Like 30 years, right? Almost 30 years. So, and you've got to figure, right, like the first kind of few years of your life, you don't have any memory of stuff. So somebody who's about 30, 32, 33 cannot remember what life was like before The Simpsons was on the air. Somebody who's 20 or something probably cannot remember a time when The Simpsons was good because, there was kind of a decline in quality after the first 10 years. Show's just gotten awful recently, hasn't it? What am I doing? I'm getting on this digression. I said I wasn't going to talk about the Simpsons TV show. Maybe I'll do that in another video someday, or maybe I won't. I'd be here forever if I got into all of that. I just want to try and review the 2007 movie. So, this was a big deal when it came out, especially for those of us who had been Simpsons fans for years. We were like, oh, a movie? A Simpsons movie? They're finally doing this? Really, they probably should have done it ages ago, huh? Can you imagine if this had come out in the 90s when The Simpsons were at the height of their popularity? According to what I was reading on the internet and kind of interviews and stuff like that, the creators of The Simpsons have been talking about making a movie for years, but delayed it until they felt that they had a script that was good enough to justify it. Which is hard to believe after having seen this movie, that this is the script they kept delaying for. But, apparently that's true. It's very, in one sense, it's very kind of idealistic of them to kind of try. They could have cashed in the 90s. They wanted to kind of wait until they had something to kind of justify getting the fans to go to the theaters. But yeah, on the other hand, this just, I don't know. Maybe our collective expectations were just too high. But this movie just wasn't that great. Now, to be fair, making the transition from a 20-minute TV show, or 22-minute TV show, to an hour-and-a-half movie is a difficult transition to make, because these are kind of characters and stories that are designed for 20 minutes. I suppose you could always change the storyline, right? Say, okay, instead of like having a story that has a 22-minute payoff, we're going to have a story that has a 90-minute payoff. But when you have like a family sitcom, the kind of inherent setting and the kind of characters you've set up is maybe not, it's not created to deal with more of an epic plot. So very few TV shows successfully make the transition to movies. So, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but this is kind of another TV show which didn't really make the transition to a movie. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular either. In my local paper, Grand Rapids Press, the movie critic, a guy named John Serba, wrote at the time, he said, if you had just taken 3 episodes from the golden era of The Simpsons and just put them back to back to back, it would be a lot more fun to watch than this movie. And I kind of thought, yeah, that's true. It would have been a little bit disjointed, maybe having 3 separate stories, but there would have been a lot more laughs to be had. It would have been a lot funnier. I felt that the Simpsons movie was funny, but not spectacular. And I got a little bit bored near the end. I was kind of getting antsy and squirming in my seat a little bit. The plot wasn't bad, but it could have been better. And in my opinion, it retread familiar grounds that had been maybe a little bit too familiar at this point. So the plot is Homer screws up, Marge loses her faith in him, and the marriage hits a low point. Homer does something to redeem himself, and then the marriage is back on the right track. We've seen this so many times in the TV show. Now, granted, it's on a bigger scale in the movie, but the basic formula is just something we've seen over and over and over again. Still not terrible. To this day, if I see that they're rerunning this on TV, I'll stop and watch it, usually. But yeah, nothing spectacular. And I guess it's what we should have expected, but I was hoping for something more spectacular, having grown up with this show when it was at its high points. I was hoping the movie would be another high point. And yeah, it was just average.